$5. That's all it was. But in that moment, it might as well have been 500 or even 5,000. Because my hands trembled over an empty stub, the ink faded, the edges frayed, and my heart pounded loud enough that I thought the whole bus could hear it. My fingers clenched around the useless scrap as if squeezing tighter could somehow make it real again. That's when I felt it, the weight of someone's gaze. The bus driver's eyes, tired but sharp, locking onto mine in the rearview mirror. My lungs froze. I wasn't always this desperate. It's not long ago I lived what most would call a simple, unremarkable life. I worked at a small printing shop tucked between a laundromat and a bakery, a place that smelled faintly of ink and burnt paper. My apartment was tiny, barely enough space for a mattress and a second-hand bookshelf, but it was mine. I had routine, rhythm, and enough money for rent and food. Then, suddenly it was gone. Downsizing, they called it. We have to let you go. Words that landed like a sentence. I told myself I'd bounce back quickly, that it was just a detour, but weeks stretched into months. The job applications blurred, the rejections piled up, and the walls of my apartment seemed to shrink around me every morning. I still rode the bus, clinging to the hope of an interview or a lead. The fare was $5, a small price for a chance at something better. But that day, I didn't have it. I slid into the seat, gripping my fake stub, whispering silent prayers that no one would notice. But he did. The driver leaned slightly, his arm resting against the wheel, his voice low but steady. "Where's your ticket, son?" There was no anger in it, but there was weight. My throat tightened. Words scrambled in my mouth but wouldn't come out. My cheeks burned. I waited for him to tell me to leave, to throw me off the bus in front of everyone, to make an example out of me. But instead, after a long pause, he exhaled slowly and muttered, "Just sit down." His words were merciful, yet they carried a strange finality, like he knew something I didn't. I sank deeper into the seat. My face turned to the window, hoping no one could see the tears prickling at the corners of my eyes. No. The silence didn't last. Whispers stirred in the rows behind me. 2 teenagers giggled, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Guy can't even pay $5, one sneered. A woman clutched her purse tighter against her chest, her expression curling with suspicion, as if poverty were contagious. Shame is a heavy coat too. Feel it even when others don't put it on you. Yet across the aisle, an old man with weathered hands and a coat 2 sizes too big simply nodded at me, a gesture so small it could have been missed. But it held something recognition. The driver didn't announce my failure. He didn't shame me over the intercom. Instead, I heard the soft clink of coins. I looked up and there it was, his hand slipping a bill into the machine, his own money paying my way. He never turned to make eye contact. He just drove. Kindness nugget number 1. Research shows that when one person demonstrates quiet generosity in public, it multiplies. Bystanders are 60% more likely to act kindly afterward. But I didn't feel multiplied. I felt exposed, raw, as if he had peeled away the last layer I was hiding behind. That night, sleep wouldn't come. I tossed, my mind circling the moment, replaying it. It wasn't just charity, it was personal. I couldn't let it go. The next evening, I returned to the depot. The bus hissed as it came to a stop, the last passenger shuffling out. My pulse hammered as I approached. I saw what you did, I said softly. He wiped the steering wheel with an old rag, chuckling faintly. Wasn't the first time, but then. He reached into his pocket, pulling out a photograph. It was creased from years of folding, the edges worn. In it was a teenage boy in a school uniform, smiling with a light that seemed to spill out of the picture. "My son," he said. His voice dipped lower. "Used to give away his lunch at school. Said a sandwich tastes better when it feeds a hungry friend. He's gone now, but I try to carry that spirit." The air thickened. My chest ached with a kind of grief I couldn't explain. His act wasn't random. Generosity, it was a living memorial, a way of keeping his son's heartbeat alive, one small kindness at a time. I realized then it wasn't just about a fare. It was about dignity, about survival, about being seen. That $5 bill wasn't money. It was a bridge, pulling me back from the edge of despair. My voice cracked. I don't know how to repay you, he smiled faintly. Live long. Enough to help someone else. That's payment. I swallowed hard, the words embedding themselves deep inside me. Kindness nugget number 2. Psychologists say receiving kindness releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It lowers blood pressure and literally heals hearts. And yet my heart pounded, as if asking me, can you live up to this? Later, I scribbled the words on a scrap of paper. Kindness is the only currency that never loses value. Folded it, slid it into my pocket, and carried it everywhere. Screenshot these words and share them with someone who needs hope today. The next week, I walked to the food bank, collected bread rolls, and left them quietly on the depot bench. The old man from the bus noticed. Following day, he showed up with apples. A week later, the same 2 teenagers who had laughed at me appeared again, this time with a bag of canned goods. Something had shifted. It spread. Letters appeared taped to the driver's window. Thank you for noticing me. Coins sealed in envelopes marked for the next rider who can't. Mothers left small toys. Strangers began to smile at one. Another on board. That city bus, once heavy with silence and sighs, transformed into a moving current of compassion. And I wondered, had his son ever imagined his legacy reaching this far? Then came the storm. One night, rain lashed the windows, thunder growled overhead, and the bus smelled of damp coats and wet shoes. A young girl climbed aboard, hair plastered to her forehead, eyes wide with fear. She whispered, I lost my wallet. I knew that. Shame. I knew that sting. Before the driver could move, I stood. My hand was steady this time. Don't worry, I said. $5. This time, it wasn't survival, it was gift. His eyes met mine in the mirror. Pride. Flickering, almost a tear. Kindness nugget number 3. Studies show that helping others not only boosts mood, it creates a helper's high. A surge of endorphins as real as a runner's high. The bus fell into a hush, then clap. Another. Then the whole vehicle erupted. In applause, a round of hands echoing like thunder's softer twin. From then on, that bus wasn't just transportation. It became a classroom, a chapel, a moving reminder that kindness isn't loud, it isn't branded. It's invisible currency, passed from hand to hand, moment to moment. Like light slipping under a closed door, I stopped seeing myself as a victim. I wasn't an empty stub anymore. I was part of a chain. Weeks later, as I stepped off the bus, the driver pressed a folded paper into my palm. His fingers lingered, heavy with meaning. I unfolded it under the street lamp. The handwriting was neat, deliberate. My son always believed a stranger's smile could save a life. You proved him right. I gasped, clutching it like a ticket, but not to a seat, to humanity itself. My throat tightened, my vision blurred. That note wasn't paper, it was a bridge back to hope. And next week, you'll hear about the forgotten child whose song silenced an entire city.